Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are wrestling with something that is, it's both incredibly personal and at the same time, it's governed by these massive scientific laws. We're talking about relationships.
We really are. And we're attempting a pretty fascinating synthesis today. We've pulled together sources that range from, the cold calculus of fruit fly genetics all the way to the warm, complex world of attachment theory and modern couples therapy.
That's right. Our mission here is to give you a kind of unified view of what drives us to pair up and, maybe more importantly, what helps us stay together. We're unpacking two huge frameworks. The ancient evolutionary drive for selection.
Finding the fittest mate.
Exactly. And then the immediate psychological need for connection. Which is all the work that goes into building a stable, secure partnership.
And it's the tension between those two, isn't it? That's really what defines this deep dive. The first toolkit is all hard data, explaining who we choose. The second is about the mind, explaining how we learn to love them and feel secure.
Let's start with that first toolkit then. The biological blueprint. Because if you want to understand human mating, you actually have to start in a lab back in 1948 with a geneticist named A.J. Bateman.
Right, and his very famous fruit flies, Drosophila melanogaster.
The fruit flies. So Bateman's experiments, they basically established what became known as Bateman's principles. And these were, foundational for sexual selection theory for decades.
For decades, they were the framework. He was looking really closely at the variance in reproductive success between the male and female fly.
And he found this real asymmetry. Three core things. First, males had a much greater variance in how many offspring they had. Some had tons, a lot had none.
Right, a boomer bust strategy.
Exactly. Second, males also had a greater variance in their number of mates. And third, and this is the kicker for males, having more mates had a much, much stronger link to having more offspring than it did for females.
And that observation is powerful. But what's really critical for you to grasp here is why. Why does that asymmetry exist? And Bateman was inspired by a concept called anisogamy.
Anisogamy. Okay, break that down.
It's just the initial difference between sex cells. Eggs are large, they're biologically expensive. Sperm are small and, cheap to produce. And that simple difference sets the stage for unequal parental investment.
Unequal investment, that's the key.
That is the engine. Because the female gamete, the egg, is so costly, and females often carry the bigger burden of pregnancy and care, their success is limited. It's limited by their ability to actually provision those eggs and raise the young.
Whereas the male's success, used in theory, is only limited by how many mates he can find.
Precisely. And this difference in investment, it generally predicts that males will evolve to compete, really intensely for access to females. And females will evolve to be the choosier sex. They're selecting for the best genes or the best resources.
That